So the evidence suggests that Mr. Perez and Ms. Campelli knew each other for an extended period of time. They used to work together previously. They had an ongoing friendship.
Some secrets are meant to stay hidden, but sometimes they leave behind a trail that refuses to disappear. On a dark October night in South Florida, a quiet road became the scene of something deeply disturbing. A woman lay lifeless in the middle of the street, her car still running nearby, and the story behind her death was anything but simple. At first, it looked like a tragic mystery with no clear answers. But as detectives began pulling at the threads, a hidden relationship, thousands of private messages, and a carefully crafted alibi started to unravel. What they uncovered wasn't just shocking, it revealed a story of betrayal, deception, and a secret that may have turned deadly. The night of October 28, 2024, began like any other evening in Palm Beach County, Florida. Traffic moved along the quiet stretch of Lyons Road, a place where drivers usually pass through without a second thought. But around 10:20 p.m., something happened that would instantly shatter that normal routine. Several frantic 911 calls started coming in. Drivers were reporting a disturbing sight in the roadway. A woman was lying motionless in the middle of the street. Nearby, only a short distance away, sat a white Chevy Tahoe with its doors closed and the engine still running. When deputies arrived, the scene was chilling. The woman had severe injuries. Blood was visible in the roadway, and she appeared to be bleeding from the mouth. It quickly became clear that whatever had happened here was violent. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. She didn't survive. The victim was soon identified as Linda Campelli. To the people who knew her, Linda wasn't just a name in a police report. She was a mother, a wife, and someone who had spent much of her life caring for others. She grew up in Miami and excelled in school, eventually earning an academic scholarship to the University of Miami. After graduating, she became a registered nurse and spent more than a decade working in healthcare. Friends described her as energetic, warm, and full of life, someone who loved her family deeply and lived every moment with enthusiasm. Linda had built a life with her husband, who was a medical resident when they first met. Together they raised 2 children and eventually moved north to Palm Beach County, settling in the community of Wellington. From the outside, it looked like a stable, happy life. But on that October night, everything changed. The area where Linda was found sat along the 6,000 block of Lyons Road near Lake Worth Beach. Investigators studying the scene quickly realized something didn't add up. The injuries Linda suffered weren't consistent with a simple accident. There was a trail of blood stretching across part of the roadway. She had a deep cut on her head, and the backs of her heels were badly damaged. Injuries that detectives believed suggested something far more disturbing. According to investigators, those injuries pointed to the possibility that Linda had been dragged. The Palm Beach County medical examiner later confirmed the cause of death: blunt force trauma. The case was officially ruled a homicide, but the disturbing discoveries didn't stop there. Inside the white Chevy Tahoe, investigators found evidence suggesting that a violent struggle may have taken place inside the vehicle itself. There were bloodstains that appeared to have been partially wiped away, as if someone had tried to clean up the scene. The vehicle was still running when deputies arrived, and about 25 feet away from where Linda's body was discovered, investigators located her cell phone lying on the ground. That phone would soon become a crucial piece of evidence. When detectives examined it, they noticed a recent text message. It had been sent by Linda's husband about an hour earlier. At that point, investigators needed to understand Linda's movements that evening. Her husband told deputies that she had left the house sometime between 7:30 and 8 p.m. He said she planned to meet friends for dinner. Cell phone data seemed to support his story. Records showed that his phone had remained at their home during the entire time Linda was gone, giving him what appeared to be a solid alibi. With the husband seemingly ruled out early on, detectives began digging deeper into Linda's personal life, and it didn't take long before they uncovered something unexpected. Friends of Linda mentioned that she might have been involved in a romantic relationship with someone else. The name that kept coming up was Renee Perez, a former coworker. That revelation immediately caught investigators' attention. But before confronting Perez, detectives took a closer look at something unusual inside Linda's SUV. The Tahoe was large, with enough room in the back for people to sit or lie down if the seats were folded down. According to deputies, that rear area contained an ultrasound medical sheet spread across the surface. That detail alone was strange enough. But when investigators compared the scene to data recovered from Linda's phone, they discovered something even more puzzling. On the phone, there was an image showing that same medical sheet, but with something placed on top of it, a blanket. And on that blanket was a message printed across the fabric: "Happy birthday. Hope your birthday is out of this world." The implication was clear. Someone had prepared that space for a romantic or intimate moment. But by the time deputies arrived at the crime scene, that blanket was gone. Only the sheet remained. That missing item raised serious questions. If the blanket had been there earlier, who removed it? And more importantly, why? Investigators then turned their attention to Linda's digital life. When detectives performed a full extraction of data from her iPhone, they uncovered thousands of messages. Many of them were exchanged with Renee Perez through WhatsApp, an encrypted messaging platform. The messages revealed something significant. Linda and Renee weren't just casual acquaintances. They were deeply involved in a secret relationship. According to investigators, the two had been communicating frequently for nearly 2 years. Their conversations were often intimate, emotional, and sometimes explicit. But one particular series of messages stood out. It was a conversation that happened the day before Linda died, and it showed the two of them making plans to meet. The messages between Linda and Renee painted a very clear picture of what was supposed to happen that night. According to investigators, the two had arranged a private meetup around the same time Linda told her husband she was going out for dinner with friends. In one message, Linda confessed, "I love you. I feel kind of weird. I don't know what to expect tomorrow." She sounded nervous but excited about the plans they had made. Renee reassured her, saying he simply wanted to do something romantic for her birthday and promised everything was fine. Linda confirmed they would meet at 7:30 p.m., and the two ended the conversation with affectionate messages. To detectives reviewing the text later, it looked like a clear plan for a secret meetup. But when investigators questioned Renee, his story suddenly changed. He admitted the affair, yet claimed he had canceled the meeting the day before, an explanation that immediately raised serious doubts. Detectives had already reviewed thousands of messages between the two. They could see their entire WhatsApp conversation history, and there was no message showing that Renee ever canceled the meeting. No text, no WhatsApp message, nothing at all. That contradiction immediately raised suspicion. Investigators noticed something else about the dynamic between the two as they studied months of conversations. Whenever Linda seemed upset or uncertain about something, Renee typically responded with long, apologetic messages, trying to reassure her. But in the messages leading up to the night she died, there was no apology, no sign that the plans had changed. That inconsistency became one of the first red flags. Then, detectives began examining something even more powerful than text messages: cell phone location data. Renee told investigators that he normally shared his phone location with his wife using his primary phone. Because of that, he claimed that whenever he met Linda secretly, he would leave that phone behind so his location wouldn't reveal where he was going. Instead, he said he carried a secondary phone provided by his workplace in case the hospital needed to contact him. But surveillance footage soon complicated his story. Investigators discovered video from the medical center where Renee worked. The footage showed him leaving the building around 6:24 p.m. on the night Linda died. Hours later, around 11:52 p.m., he returned. When he came back, detectives noticed something unusual on the footage. Renee appeared to walk over to a trash can and throw something away. Even more suspicious, deputies noticed that when he left work earlier that evening, he was wearing one pair of shoes. When he returned and later left again after midnight, he was wearing a completely different pair. To this day, investigators say they don't know what happened to the original shoes. Then, another strange development surfaced. Just days after his police interview, detectives learned that Renee suddenly had a new phone, the same phone number, but a completely different device. Renee claimed he had lost his old phone and simply went to the store to replace it. But investigators obtained surveillance video from the AT&T store. That footage reportedly showed Renee walking out of the store holding both the old phone and the new one. When deputies examined the new device, they noticed that most of the information had been transferred from the old phone, except for one thing. All of the messages between Renee and Linda were missing. According to investigators, that strongly suggested those conversations had either been deleted or intentionally left behind on the old device. As detectives continued analyzing phone data, surveillance footage, and digital records, the timeline of that night slowly began to take shape. And more than a year after Linda's death, investigators say one final discovery tied everything together, leading to an arrest that stunned the community. Renee Perez was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence in connection with Linda Campelli's death. The case is still unfolding, and many questions remain about exactly what happened inside that vehicle on that dark October night. But investigators believe the digital trail left behind may ultimately reveal the truth. And sometimes, the smallest pieces of data, messages, timestamps, and phone signals, can tell a story that someone tried very hard to hide. If you found this case as shocking as it is disturbing, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who follows true crime stories. And here's something I'd really like to hear your thoughts on. Do you think the digital evidence in this case is enough to prove what really happened that night? Or could there still be another side to the story? Let me know what you think in the comments below.